Oh, I think we're live. Hello, everybody. How's it going? We're going to double check that it's live and working. My name is Bethany Atazadeh, if you guys don't already know. If you're here tonight, I'm assuming you do. And I'm hanging out with Brittany Wang. And we just wanted to say hi, and I wanted to let you get to know Brittany really quick, so I'll let Brittany introduce herself as well.
Hey everybody, I'm Brittany Wang, and I'm an author of an upcoming YA fairy fantasy novel. And yeah, Bethany and I are super excited for round 2 of Save the Cat. I almost said writes a novel. Save the Cat Experiment.
Yeah, we're so excited that oh my gosh, I didn't even introduce it. I got so excited. But if you are just coming here live and you don't know what's going on, we are in what we call the Save the Cat Experiment, like Brittany said. And we are taking this book, Save the Cat Writes a Novel, and we are going through the beats in here to outline a brand new novel together with all of you. Did I say that well, Brittany?
Yes, you did. Awesome.
Awesome.
And so we have people in the live chat right now, but we're also going to have people watching on the replay. So hi, all of you on the replay. And we definitely want you guys to feel free to just act like you're in the live chat and be commenting while you're watching, because any like brainstorming or ideas you send or comments you give, we will definitely be chatting with you afterwards.
Absolutely. I love that. Yes, we're going to check them throughout the week because we keep getting new ideas all week long. And then we did want to remind you guys that there is a website, and we're going to start updating that really soon. I don't know if we have a plan yet for when we're going to start updating, but sometime this week.
Yeah, I think some of you were like, hey, I don't see anything new on like your outline page on the website, but we wanted to do a little bit more work on the characters with you guys today as we do the first few beats. So as we solidify stuff, sometime this week, we will update that for sure.
Yes. And also, it doesn't make sense for us to if we want to reveal it each week here, we're not going to put it on the website till it's revealed, right? So we'll just kind of update as we go.
Exactly. Cool. Well, we see a bunch of you saying hi in the comments. Hello, everybody. We definitely would love for you to share, right, just a little bit about yourself. But also, if you were here last week, did you do some work on your main character? And if so, what is their major flaw? Because we're going to be talking about flaws and wants and needs also today as we do the first few beats.
That's perfect. Yes. And we also wanted to do one quick housekeeping thing before we start. We realized last week was really, really short considering the brainstorming and how long that takes. So we wanted to see if you guys want to start a little bit earlier, maybe just like a half an hour earlier, and see if you guys are okay with that. So let us know.
Yeah, definitely let us know right now in the comments. And we actually have a wonderful comment moderator tonight because there are just so many of you that one of our friends, Savannah Goins, was like, do you need some help? And we were like, yes, please. So she's going to be helping us sort of moderate and take some of your ideas and collect them for us a little bit. But let us know in the comments if we start in half an hour earlier next week, would you be able to make that? And we would go for an hour and a half at that point. So let us know, and yeah, we'll get started. Bethany, do you want to let them know what we're going to be talking about today?
Yes, perfect. So we're going to talk about first what we know so far about our characters and the world. So Brittany and I kind of brainstormed using what you guys told us last week. And we're still a little bit iffy, if we're being honest, on a few things. So we also want to kind of run some things by you. But we have a few standard things for the characters in the world. And then we want to also start tonight plotting the opening image, the theme stated, and the setup. And so we're going to go over those first 3 beats, and you guys stay till the end because we want to take name suggestions for these characters, and we need your help.
Yes. Oh my gosh, you're gonna like laugh so hard when we tell you what we've been calling these characters while we're figuring out like their personalities and their flaws and stuff. So we definitely need names. So stick around till the end, like Bethany said, to help us out brainstorm. Don't put them in the comments yet because we're gonna lose them. Keep them till the end.
Right, exactly. Or if you do, again, Savannah is moderating, so hopefully she can help us out and catch some of those. We can just make a little names bin right off from the get-go.
Yes, I love that.
And so we were also going to, one other housekeeping thing I almost forgot to say. I told Brittany this right before we started, that I made a Pinterest board in the middle of the night last week. I was not able to sleep, and I was like, oh, I wonder if we could just like pin a few Vikings things, and then I kept going. I gave away something. I'm sorry. Dang it. But we put the Pinterest board in the description box below in case you guys are curious and want some visuals while we talk. But now I'm gonna let Brittany take over so I don't ruin it.
No, that's all right. You're gonna find out right now. So you guys, I'm gonna let you know, and I'm gonna actually put that Pinterest link right in the comments there if you want to go check out the wonderful board that Bethany has put together. But we want to let you know what things we already know about the characters and the world so far. So let's start a little bit with the world. We decided that we'd probably like to do 2 shifter groups. So last week we were like, are we doing elves? Are we doing shifters? And so we decided to keep it simple and stick with one. And we're going to probably do 2 shifter groups, and that those shifters can shift into animals. And so there's obviously needs to be rules to that, which we'll talk about later when we talk about setup. But that's sort of where we think we're going. And again, a lot of this is super flexible. You guys know that when you are plotting and when you are writing a book, things can change. So as of right now, this is what we're deciding, but it could change if we come up with some things later. So we also thought it'd be great for them to have like this power struggle, but having with the dual POV, we can sort of represent both sides. And so you don't really know which side you want to root for because they each are in the wrong on the same side, but then they're also in the right for something. So we would love to play with that. And we are also, one question we want to talk about later is, are there humans in our world? Are we in a parallel universe, or are we in a purely fantasy, just shifters universe? So those are some questions we need to talk about later, but that's some stuff. And then Bethany, do you want to tell them some of our influences that we were being inspired by?
I would love to. So Vikings, first of all, shocker, right, guys? Everybody in the comments is like, I caught that. But also, that was like just one of our many brainstorming points. We kind of were going over movies that we loved that had a very similar vibe. So Underworld, sorry, I have the worst phlegm right now. Underworld, I can speak. And Underworld had a lot of the vibes that we're going for, but so did Robin Hood, kind of had the woodsy vibe. And The Village, of all things, had that sort of cult-like vibe. And we also looked at like the Norsemen. I don't know if any of you have seen that show on Netflix, and it's got a lot of Viking-esque stuff. Thor and Loki came up quite a bit, which we'll go into in a minute. And the originals, with that kind of the vampire in the family, we're not doing vampires, but just like the fighting kind of aspect. We really liked drawing from those different imagery type things. And then do we want to reveal the characters?
Yes. So so this is what we know, or we think we know about the characters so far.
We think we know. We're not sure.
Exactly. So last week we got a lot of positive responses, and we were really excited about maybe warrior princesses. So not so much like princesses who are stuck up in a castle and like, can't do much, like, or they're too like prim and proper. We wanted like rough and tough warrior princesses. And we think we've decided that they're probably not going to be sisters, but maybe cousins. And we can talk about the backstory a little bit. So maybe they're related, but they're on different sides of the war, or whatever's going on.
Yeah, whatever it's called, the war, we'll call it.
Yeah, exactly. And then we have sort of our influences again. We really liked Thor and Loki. Every time we sort of were talking about last week, like this confident kind of character, and then this like more like avoider kind of character. We were like, oh, that'd be so fun to like play with some aspects of like Thor and Loki, where Thor is like this pompous kind of, like big, strong, tough, confident kind of person. And Loki's like, smart and witty and like more deceptive and stuff. So obviously we're not going to like exactly copy those characters, but we really liked sort of the play between them. And we thought it'd be really fun to pit like 2 sisters, or cousins, whatever they are, against each other that have similar stuff. So, and we also talked a little bit about like Jacob and Esau. So similarly, like they're sort of at odds and like very different kind of people. They're biblical characters. So Jacob's sort of like Thor and Esau's sort of like Loki. Yeah. So then do you want to take the Thor character and tell them what we decided for like the flaws and stuff, and then I'll do the Loki character?
Definitely. And I will say, I hope it's okay that I say this, but we talked about if we ever were to write it, we noticed that we like our current main characters, I guess, are similar-ish to these guys. So we would want to take the opposite probably. But I don't know if I'm revealing too much there, but that's if we write it. But anyway, so the Thor character, as we've been calling it, we've been calling them T and L, you guys. I don't know. It's just how because we want to think of them as women. So T, so to speak, has some flaws. Like she thinks that she's better than everybody else. And she has a lot of strong moral values about like what's right and wrong in her world. Whether she's actually right about it or not, she's super convinced. And that's kind of her personality. And then the fears or problems, needs, and wants in the story that we talked about last week, we kind of honed in on this. So I'll go into the Thor character, and then Brittany will tell you the Loki character. So their fear or their problem is that they feel like they're not good enough. And so we really focused on fear-based things. And their need then is to learn that they are good enough and that they have value. And then also playing off of their flaw, we want them to realize that other people also have value. Or her. I keep saying them, but anyway. And last but not least, the want. We've been talking about how the want is to prove that they are better than everyone else because it's fixing things the wrong way. So we're thinking that without really knowing the opening image and the setup and the theme just yet, we're a little bit vague still, but we're thinking it's going to be something like putting other people down and like always comparing and trying to look the best. Yes. Exactly. And so then you can tell them about L.
Yeah. So we have the two character, right? We've on one side, and then we've got L, Loki, and I'm just looking through some of the comments that everybody is loving the Thor versus Loki kind of stuff. So that's really fun. So with our L character, she is a deceiver or trickster, a loner, and she's like witty and snarky. So that's like part of her like flaws there and problems. And then her fear is that she is afraid to be known. And we can all relate to that, right? Where we're not like really secure in ourselves. So we're trying to like pick themes and like fears that like other people could really relate to. Then we have our need for L, and that she needs to learn to have courage to let people know who she really is, and to sort of take risks, like relationally and like personally. And then her want, though, is to hide her true self, and she's trying to become or like show to other people that she is someone else that she isn't really. If that makes sense. Yeah, and we sort of played around with this idea again. You know, we'll see what happens when we actually start plotting. But like maybe they are sort of each other's B story character, or like they at least like play a role in leading each other to how to overcome their fears. So again, like Bethany said, they're a little more like general or vague, but we would love to like then go plot with you guys and figure out, okay, how can we make these like tangible goals within the premise and the context of the story. So let us know what you think.
I can't wait to see what you guys think. I gotta pull up the comments here and check this out. So you guys like the whole Viking-esque warrior princess vibes?
Yes. And they like the cousins too.
Oh, good. Yes, and we felt like it left it open to if, for instance, that they do find out that they're sisters at the end, like that could work. Like as we plot, we'll find out with them, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, cousins is really fun. And that kind of, did we want to share just a teeny bit about, actually, no. I'm going to back up because I remember that we want to get right into brainstorming.
Yes. So actually, we're going to try to do this in like 15-minute chunks, which was Bethany's idea. I think that's really smart. So we just sort of did a recapping for the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And now we want to go into a 10-minute brainstorm of, we really need to figure out what is the shard of glass for each of these characters. That's where we're going to go?
That's right. Yep. So we need to figure out like what made them the way they are, basically.
Right. And that might actually end up shaping some of our worlds. And if we start like more character-based, then that will help like influence our decisions for the world, not just for the sake of, oh, that's cool, but it actually like fits with our character, right? So we can sort of repeat a little bit about the characters one more time, but let's start letting us know in the comments, what do you think is the shard of glass? And obviously, like, you've been reading the book along with us, but just as a recap, the shard of glass is like an event usually that happened to the character earlier on in their life that has scarred them in some way, and the shard has like sort of gotten underneath their skin, and instead of pulling it out and dealing with it and letting it heal, it's sort of covered over and created this like pain point that causes their flaws and causes them to believe lies and act in a wrong way, that we want to use the story to then reverse that and heal that and work through that so that they can transform by the end. So if we have, do we want to do character by character, you think?
Yeah, I think we should, one at a time, because that'll help us.
Do you want to give us a really quick overview again of T, just a little?
Yeah, so T, it feels weird to call her that. T is like the one who thinks she's better than everybody else and is trying to prove it. And so some of the things that we talked about maybe is like, for a shard of glass that would have made her that way could be like if a family member, like, because her instance is she feels not good enough, and so she's always trying to prove she's good enough. So if there was somebody in her life that's constantly saying she's not good enough, I think.
Love that. And I'm just looking to, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, it would be fun to hear what other people think would cause a person to become that way. And I did notice somewhere in the comments, Jacqueline is saying that it sounds like L and T have the same flaws-ish. And yes, that was sort of, in a way, our goal, is to kind of like hone in on the same problem, like showing itself up in different ways, and then you can solve it. And it's kind of like the overarching theme of the story, you know?
Right, because so our issue is not our issue, but we're just trying to figure it out. Of like, if we write this story, we'd love to have like two perspectives to talk from, but we wanted to have a unified theme to be able to unify the story. So I feel like, they both have fear running around in their lives, but it manifests in different ways. And they both fear sort of different things. So how can that sort of be shaped differently by their experience?
I want to read some of these. Is that okay? Because I saw a couple of good ones and then it just moved. So Melissa was saying the shard of glass for the first one could be like being abandoned by a parent or family member, which is such a good shard of glass. Like, seriously, that's awesome. And then you say one for the second character, but we're going to try to do one at a time. Maybe.
Yeah. So I'm looking to see if Savannah's supposed to be giving us some notes on our document too. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong one. I am looking at the wrong one, I think. There we go. Okay. Yeah, she's putting it in. So do you want me to read a couple from the T section? Because she's putting the L section.
Perfect. Yes, let's do that.
So Jem is saying shard should be that she wasn't able to protect someone important to her. Like maybe there was an attack on her people when she was too young to really help. Jacqueline says, does she think she's better than everyone else, or does she just act like it? And that's where I think that is a good distinction, is that, she's overcompensating for, some people are afraid and they let that sort of emulate around them. And T is definitely like overcompensating and being like, I'm just going to fake it till I make it. And even though I'm super insecure, which we all know people like that, right?
Yes. And then she's putting in there that Gabriella says maybe a parent wanted her to be a different way and she failed at something, or she failed at something.
Yep.
Which, so family is the big shard that I'm seeing here.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and not measuring up. So like, yeah, they act like it. Like Brittany was saying, she acts like she thinks she is the best, but she definitely doesn't internalize that or believe that about herself.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would be like a specific thing? Because we're going really specific with Shard of Glass.
For sure. I mean, I still sort of like, oh, there's another one too. Do you want to read that one? I'm just going to highlight a couple things in here.
Sure, yeah. So you're talking about Jack, Juliet?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, would be that people don't think she's qualified to lead. Maybe someone else is more charismatic or talented and they have a large following who don't like tea. I love that. So like maybe she has something that a leader wouldn't have, like I don't know, like a lisp or like a shyness speaking in front of people because leaders have to speak a lot, maybe.
I feel like then we're sort of moving into like who Loki is or Elle.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the Elle character seems like that.
Yeah, because we could even like shift that one over to Elle.
Absolutely. Let's do it. Yeah, I really like that.
All right, let me shift that over because I think that might actually, fit her better.
Yeah, kind of personality wise.
Cool.
So like if Elle had a parent, just using the parent idea, because they're being groomed to, in theory, be leaders, like they are at some level leaders, we don't know what yet, then the parent could be constantly putting them down and saying like, how can you be a leader if you can't do X, Y, Z?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Kaylin also says it could be that T was brought up with a strong sense of honor, so that's very common with Vikings. But whereas Elle could have grown up with a different tribe or clan where honor wasn't important. So that's like the differences.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. Yes, because it really differentiates how they approach the entire world and their whole life. So the Loki character, Elle, has like no morals whatsoever. It's like do what you got to do, kind of.
Right.
I love that.
Cool. All right, so we've spent about 5 minutes on T. Maybe we should transition to L a little bit, and then we'll try to make some decisions.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Let's see. So
her up really quick.
Yes. So L again is the deceiver, trickster, loner, but she is witty and snarky. She's afraid to be known, which again might go with Jack's point there. But any other ideas that she needs to learn to have courage to let people know who she really is, to take risks, but throughout the story, she's going to want to try to sort of present herself in a way that she isn't truly it. Talking. That one's hard to say. That she really isn't, so that people will accept her and she won't need to like show who she really is.
Yeah, definitely. So Lacey said something really good. I caught on it when Savannah put it in our notes, and it's maybe she failed at something that isn't known, like nobody knows she failed, so she's trying to overcome and prove and like hope that it never comes to light, which really lies really well.
Yeah. Wait, who said that? Which one is this?
That was Lacey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Something cool. Isn't knowing how she's trying to overcome and prove it. Cool. And then any of the other ones sticking out to you?
There are some recommendations for disabilities. Like if the T character had an actual physical disability and something that she was struggling with that held her back. And then they said that L could have like a mental struggle, like an anxiety disorder. So you kind of show the differences and how they have to overcome.
Right.
It would be tricky to write something with, I would never want to misrepresent something. And I'm sure Brittany feels the same way. So let us know if you guys feel like that's like an okay thing to write if we don't have experience, or how you feel about that.
Yeah, because that was something that we were talking earlier today, and that sort of was like the dilemma of like we could do this, but we want to make sure, that we
respect it. Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Physical
disability. Dragon, yes. Jacqueline said that's what sensitivity readers are for. Very good point. Very true.
Okay. Well, as long as you guys feel okay with that, we could definitely look into it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I think we have some really good ideas. I think we just need to sort of pick one and then try it out with the world and stuff and see what happens.
Okay. So, do you have a favorite for the Loki character?
I'm terrible at making decisions, you guys, with stories. I don't know about you. I am that person that comes up with 10 different ways that you can write a scene or create a character or whatever. And I just like, I can't choose because I just see all the different paths. And I'm like, well, that one's good. And that one's good. And that one's good. So let me try. I actually sort of like this idea that one of them, has a disability.
Mhm.
Um, uh, and like, or like the physical disability and then the mental struggle.
Mhm.
Because then it's like underlying, but
So I feel like the Thor character T should have the one that's more internal and not as visible because she's acting like she's the best and everyone thinks she is. So it can't be something obvious, but when the reader's there, it's super obvious. Like if it was anxiety, that could definitely be one. Or if it was something like, I think Brittany had mentioned earlier, like a huge fear of something, like you'd thrown out, like, say they were afraid of water. And like whenever it came to like a water battle, they were just like, I can't do it. And something that's very secret, kind of.
so I think you just, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you were saying that the mental struggle should be Loki. Is that what you're saying?
No, the Thor character, I would think.
Yes. Okay, good.
Mhm.
Yes.
And then I was thinking the Loki character, and I had said this to Brittany earlier, but we didn't like go into it, and I was like curious what you guys would think. Is if the Loki character had, maybe there was something physical, but they used their shape shifting abilities to try to hide it. And so,
Yeah.
like, I was joking with Brittany that, like, what if they could partially shapeshift? So, like, for instance, I was joking that they were like, if they had like a cat ability or something, or like a lion, and then they spend their day with like the lion eyes and the like the creepy like
Yes.
eye, and then like whiskers or something, and they just walk around like that to hide what they really look like, whatever it might be, whether it's like anything, it could be anything.
Right. What do you guys think about that? Because I'm totally, I'm
Like
vibing on
that
that.
one. The problem is I'm having decision inability with that because there's so many things, like thinking of all the cool animal features that you could do, whether it's in like the face or with like giving them paws or something, or wings even.
Yeah.
There's so many ways you could go.
Awesome. Well, I think generally though, do you think that we should at least land on those two things that like she's having like a mental
Mhm.
struggle, some kind of anxiety that
Yeah.
is building into her fear.
Mhm.
Um, but it needs to be some kind of like event.
Mhm.
Um, so
Good point. Good point.
and
Um,
maybe as we build the world, like the event will sort of
come to us.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and that'll be great because T is like super overcompensating because they're trying to like pull it all together, but really they have this like inner struggle. And
Mhm.
then T has some kind of disability or something physically that they're trying to hide.
Mhm.
Um, and but they can shift somehow
Yes.
like, get rid of it.
And I love the comments, you guys. We're gonna go back, just so you know, because we can't like read them all and talk in an hour, but we are gonna go back and read every single one. And so thank you so much for these ideas, like PTSD, visually impaired. Jacqueline says that she wants more people to write about disability, which is really cool. And absolutely, we would definitely do it with respect and probably talking to you a lot to
Yes,
get your ideas.
love it.
So, all right, and Asperger's and phobias, and oh my gosh, so many good ideas. And being attacked, burned. I didn't even think of a burn, but that would be huge because she'd have to like stay in animal form to hide it, probably. Okay, let's hold on to those. Brittany and I are going to chat and come back next week with more decisions, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And
No, but
so,
I'm really liking where this is going.
are you good? Me too. Me too. I'm loving it. You guys are amazing.
I think oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, the next thing we're gonna do is setup, but if you want to do anything else on this first.
So I just want to grab, I don't know if Savannah's going to grab it, but I just saw Samantha said something about possible backstory. So I just want to grab it because I think we might end up start talking about the Shard of Glass as we do setup. But Samantha's saying, since they're cousins, it could stem from a dispute with their families, and the revenge or responsibility of healing the bond has fallen upon them. So they've each responded differently, like to that.
I love that.
So, Savannah, if you could grab that one if you haven't already. Sorry if I missed it. I like that a lot.
Me too.
Okay, cool. All right, yes. So let's move into setup. So keep thinking about shards of glass stuff, and Savannah will keep grabbing those. But we had a few things about the world and the backstory that we need to solidify, right? And so we definitely want 2 shifter groups, but then we were back and forth of like, should it be in like a alternate universe, like human world, where there's shifters, and like, are they hiding from the humans? Is that part of the conflict? Does one group want to expose the other group to the humans? Or do the humans just get caught in the crossfire of this like Viking shifter group battle? So thoughts about that. And then maybe we can sort of wrap that into the backstory too, our thoughts about backstory. So one idea we had was sort of inspired by Underworld. So if you haven't seen it, there's a movie between like vampires and werewolves, and they have this like huge, sorry, spoiler guys, spoilers, but this huge backstory of like why they are at war. And it's basically, again, sorry, spoilers, you can mute it if you want, but there's a central like fatherhead, and he had 2 sons, and the 2 sons were cursed or something happened. I can't remember exactly. You can correct me if you remember, Bethany. But basically one became a vampire and one became a werewolf. And from that descended these 2 different groups that are now at war. And so we were sort of thinking, what if like we had sort of like one king, or one, like it used to be one clan, one group, whatever we're going to call them. And then the leader had 2 daughters. And we talked about like a curse or something last week. And we talked about like this difference between night and day. Maybe there was like a curse because one's cursed to the night, one's cursed to the day. But maybe down the line, when the 2 sisters like have, sort of separate the 2 or the one group into 2, maybe one sister like starts ruling over one of them, and then this group sort of rebels at one point in the history and like rises up, and now they're sort of equal and at odds. And this is where down the line somewhere our 2 main characters have been born into this conflict, and now they're sort of battling it out. So we don't know what they're battling over. Is it land? Is it, just they want to annihilate the other group? So many things, you guys. So let us know what you think.
Yes, definitely. About the humans for sure. Like, should there be humans or not? Like, throw in your vote because we want to know which is more popular. And then we kind of, I forgot to say this, but we kind of had a teeny bit of Romeo and Juliet inspiration as well, influence, because of the whole families thing. So instead of it being clans, because we don't want to copy other stories that we're writing in any way. So we were thinking about like, instead of calling them clans, we could call the groups like the 2 families. If they're all initially connected, it could be like a, I can't remember the Romeo and Juliet names, but it was an Italian word. Medici family, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, I don't know.
I can't remember the other one. They had like names. So like maybe they're 2 family names.
Yeah, exactly. So then you can kind of differentiate. And then the other thing that could be kind of cool is we don't necessarily have to know right off the bat what the origin story is, because if we did go the Romeo and Juliet vibe, like that direction, at that point, they've been just like killing each other on both sides for so long that they don't remember the real problem even. And that we noticed that in Underworld as well, that it was sort of like the real story had gotten lost, and there was all these conflicting, and so our 2 main characters, T and L, could both be hearing very different sides of the story. As we create our setup, we could create like a mentor or somebody who is telling them this is what happened, but it might not actually be what happened.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So what do you guys think of that? Do you like that? Ooh, houses. Yes.
House.
The Capulets and the Montagues. That's right, Ryan. You're so right.
Love it. Thank you guys. When our brains don't work, it's wonderful to have you guys in the hole. So we have some notes coming in from your comments. So between just two shifter groups are humans present. Melissa says humans aren't the power group in the world. The two shifter clans are. So maybe the humans are like their slaves, or they're just like a lesser, not as powerful group. So that's interesting. Sarah says that they're hiding from the humans would be nice. So that's the other end. Nikki says, I like the humans that they would be there, but not aware of the shifters. So we have 2 votes for sort of like they're there, but they're hiding from them.
Okay.
Do you want to read a couple, Bethany?
Sure. Melissa says they need magic workers. Maybe those are the humans. I like that. So like, maybe the humans are almost there, but not knowing that they're doing all the grunt work for them, but kind of like, yeah. And then Keelan says, would personally go with a fantasy world, even if there are humans. So like kind of creating our own, I think is what you mean, Keelan. And then unless you want to do a lot of research on Viking history. Yes, we probably would have to anyway, but you're right that would help to just have our own world, so to speak.
Yeah. And I didn't know that we were exactly going to call them Vikings, but they just have like the vibe of the Vikings, right? So yeah, we can totally.
Kind of the aggression. I think we were going for the, not as weak princess, more but aggressive warrior princess vibes. And the Vikings kind of gave us that feel of like, they're kind of brutal and savage. And like, we might lower that a little bit, but yeah, it gives you that image, I guess, is what I want to say. A couple people said like the idea of no humans. Actually, 3 people so far that I see.
So, but I think even if people are saying there should be humans or maybe humans, like they're not like a main player. It sounds like they're either the, so the servants or the like lesser people, or, but they're not like overpowering them. Most of you are saying that it shouldn't be like against the humans kind of deal. Or
that makes so much sense. I kind of agree personally. The more I think about it, I feel like Melissa has said this, that having humans is important because the readers feel like they have a place. So you have like that comparison,
right?
Sort of like mentally be like, this is where I would be in this story.
That's true. Yeah. And even when you're writing it, like I'm finding, because I'm writing like a high epic fantasy, and I'm in first person, and she can't like reference certain human things because there are no humans. And so like I'm trying to like think of like examples. I'm like, shoot, I have to think of something that's like specifically like in the fairy world because like there's nothing they don't know about that human thing. So that's more of like under like when you start actually writing. But anyway,
that makes a lot of sense though. That's really wise to look ahead and be like, okay, I would love to have humans personally, because I think even if they are like kind of underworld style, not there, and you are creating your own universe, at least you have that comparison to go on.
And Mickey is saying too that maybe they're just part of the backstory, you know, that be part of like their heritage or something. Cool. Okay. So do we actually come to any conclusions? So humans. So we're thinking either no humans or they're not as important. They're just sort of there, at least for now. Then we have a little bit of backstory. Did you guys sort of like the idea that they come from the same family and then they sort of split off? Is that something that we want to keep? We might just like want to continue from there, I guess. Maybe it's not as important.
Yeah. And I did notice for the humans, if we're taking notes, everyone seemed to like the idea of them not being aware if they are there. So I think that seemed like a good consensus.
Okay.
For sure. Cool. And then the backstory, yes. While you guys are telling us if the backstory is good, the next thing on our agenda, and I know we've got like 5 minutes left on this, so we should jump into the rules of shifting. And pretty much the only rule we've got so far is that we think they should probably just be animals, because like Brittany was saying, if they can do anything they want, that's going to get really crazy. And it'd be kind of like the gal in X-Men Mystique, right? Where you literally don't know who's who, and she could be anybody, and yeah, it gets a little crazy.
There's just a lot of rules. Like it can be done. Like both of Bethany and I saw
The Marvel movie? Yeah, Marvel. Yeah.
Captain Marvel had like shifters, and there were certain rules with that, but it could get a little messy. So we were thinking, yeah, they could either shift completely into animals and or be able to shift partially, which would be interesting. We had maybe each group has a certain kind of animal. So especially if we do like one's curse of the day and one's curse of the night, they could have like an animal that represents each. Or can they sort of shift into anything? Or do they have each person has a specific kind of animal, and maybe that's passed down by their parents? And we just had like different things like, can they marry outside of their clan or their creature? Can they choose their own animal? There's just all these different things. We had like possible fun animals to play with, like ones we feel like haven't been like played with as much in stories, like griffins, with Sphinx. We had bears, a phoenix, wolves and dogs. Oh, that was when we were sort of like maybe
just doing all of that. Yeah,
right. And maybe like one clan is like, you know, a really powerful version, like a wolf, and then the other clan is like a lesser kind of version, like a dog. But that was when they were maybe not as equal.
Yeah, same thing with lions and cats in there too.
Right. Or they could be just like, yeah, any kind of mythical creature kind of deal. So yeah, lots of thoughts in there, but we'd love to grab any of your brainstorming.
Yes. And it's cool because some of you guys are already commenting. Like I saw them come in before Brittany even went over it, some of the ideas, which I love that. Like how Keelan says, like one family, T's family could shift to one and L's to another. And I know Brittany thought of that too. I thought that was super cool. The only reason, I'll just tell you guys, the only reason I'm attached to the idea a little bit, I'm not attached, that's the wrong word, but I'm excited about the idea of kind of a free-for-all, so to speak, animal-wise, is because I like the idea of if there was a weaker side, they still have the potential to have a really strong, like say the Loki character turns out to be really strong. I think the Loki side was the weaker side, right? Maybe. Yeah. So if the weaker side, you know, has kind of like smaller animals, we were joking like the mice versus the lions, then maybe it's not all mice because that would make life really difficult and they would clearly be the weaker one. But if you had the opportunity for some of their children to be born as stronger animals, then they still have some shot at being equal.
Or we were even playing like if there is intermarrying that isn't supposed to be happening, then there could be like combinations of animals, like in a stronger race sort of coming out of that, which is interesting.
And the cool thing about that is you could play with how they are actually better when they're merged somehow.
Right.
What's the griffin again? I'm sorry. I'm just totally tangenting into, is the griffin a merge of two animals or more than two?
It's two. It's like it looks sort of like an eagle, but then like a bird head, but then it has like a lion body, but then it has like wings.
Ooh, oh my gosh. I don't know. This doesn't feel like it fits our story, but anybody's out there, that would be a cool story to have like two clans and one is eagles and one is lions and then you get a griffin.
Right. No, that would totally be. So that maybe like it's the origin story of the griffin.
Wow. What were you gonna say? I interrupted.
No, it's fine. So I think we need to transition. We've been talking big story. We've got a bunch of ideas. Let's go back to like, you know, the B story, the character story. So how does this all sort of relate to where we meet the characters? Where we have this like setup of where they are, not necessarily just the world, but like what is their family like and how again, the shard of glass and how we wanted to sort of like maybe not, might not even have time to talk about the opening image and the theme stated. We sort of have our theme and we could like insert that into the theme stated. We just need someone to say it. And we could pick an opening image at the end real quick. But like what is the current situation that is going to change drastically for each character? So again, we have T being in this like overcompensating, I'm all that, but underneath not good enough. anxiety filled. So what is her family life like? Like, what is her situation? What is she sort of going after? I guess like we need to eventually like have conflict happening.
Yeah.
Like a really cool world, but we need conflict. And then with Elle, like what does that family look like? What does that situation look like? And why? What's like either her past or like what's the current situation that she's living in? That is like Jessica Brody talks about stasis, not stasis.
Death moment. Yep. Stasis death moment. Yep.
Right. So it's like if they stay the same, like death. Like they can't stay the same. It's too bad. So like example, like Harry Potter, like he starts out like he's just like being bullied by the Dursleys, like he's just like had enough, and it's just like if he stays there one more day, like it's just he's gonna die. Like it's just gonna be the end of the world. So what is the situation that both of these characters are in that pushes them?
And we talked about this, I think it was last week, but I don't really remember at this point. What if, you know, if they are kind of Montagues versus whoever, I already forgot, sorry, Ryan, then they could actually be like basically taking turns killing off the other side. So it's like, you know, one is taking revenge for the death of their husband or wife. And then when that person dies, the new family is taking revenge for that person. And it's just going back and forth. So it's like a constant war, like we kind of talked about earlier, feel. So then a stasis death moment could be just an idea, but one character, Loki or Thor character, losing someone. So someone actually really important to them dies. And they could state the theme while they're dying. Like, just so you know, you're never going to be good enough or something like that. Oh, wait, no. The theme is supposed to be, let me remember this correctly. The theme is supposed to be them what they should be learning, right?
Yeah. So the theme is like the truth and like the main character ignores it. So I think what you're describing could be more of like the catalyst.
You're right. Dang it. I'm skipping ahead.
Yeah.
Although,
maybe let me rephrase it to like, what does their everyday look like? And why do they need something to change? Because their everyday is just like leading them down a path that is like not good.
Yeah.
It's sort of festering their flaws. It's allowing them to keep being flawed, kind of deal.
So should we go one at a time, one character at a time? Kind of like play with that?
We can try.
I think we can do it. All right. So if you were to sum up Loki in like 1 minute, what would their day look like? Her day. Keep saying there. So if she's deceiving, she's got to be actually like running into people and pretending to be something she's not, right?
And we've got, oh, geez. Sorry, I'm reading some of the comments too that Savannah's put in here because Melissa's saying like, what if, so for setting of like what their state is right now, like maybe she's saying T is in luxury and Elle is struggling or like poor or something like that.
I like that because it fits what we were talking about, how you said the clans, like not clans, the houses one has morals. So they could be kind of like fancy, we've got morals, everything is good. And then the one that's struggling is like, I'm picturing the Lion King right now for my influence. You know how like Scar takes over and all the hyenas and they're like, it's going to be great. But because they have no morals, it just goes to trash. And so that's kind of what I'm picturing for like a leadership style.
All right, I'm writing that down.
Okay.
That's awesome. EC Victoria says maybe one house is a lion, one an eagle, and the sisters or cousins are griffins, but they have to hide it because it shows that they're a merge of both houses.
I just love that so much. We gotta put that on our like table to think about later.
Yeah, no, I'm highlighting it for sure.
I love it because I came up with it, so I'm being a little bit or come up with the merging part. I mean, the Griffin part, not all of it, but
no, it's good. It's good.
I'm Griffin obsessed, you guys. Anyway,
I'm feeling so much better about this story in this session. Last one, I was like, "There's too many ideas," but I feel like we're actually getting somewhere, which is exciting.
I do too, because I can start to picture like if she's going around in this like leadership role where everybody's kind of out for whatever. I can picture her going around hiding and just interacting.
Right.
Should we pick like, how specific can we really get in 5 minutes? It might be tricky.
You know what? Let's all right. I think if you guys are like giving ideas, I think maybe Bethany and I just take what you got, and then we're gonna chat about it. Maybe what we want to do is just brainstorm names real fast.
Yeah.
And let you know what we're going to talk about next week. And then with the remaining few minutes, we can come back to this a little bit. What do you think about that?
I love that. And so what I will say too, guys, is that if you're like thinking about this during the week, if you want, or even just after we end, if you had a thought that you didn't get time to get out, definitely leave it for us in the comments, because we're going to like probably chat in a few days. So we'll have a little time for it to percolate. And then we can like take your more specific ideas and actually go into detail on them.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Woo. It's hard to get specific in 5 minutes, but we do want specifics. So if you have any, throw them our way.
Cool.
So you want to do
So let's spend, we might not even need like a full like 5 minutes or so, but like let's just spend like 2 minutes, give us 2 names, or if you have a specific name for one character, just put like T equals whatever and L equals whatever. So just give us all the names, and then we'll stop, and then we're gonna let you know what we're talking about next week, so you can make sure to review, and then we will go back and see if we want to clarify anything before we go. So let's see.
And I like what Rox is saying about how you can use a T name for the T character and an L name for the L character. I like that.
Yeah. That would probably make it easier for all of us to like connect to everything we just talked about, and then transfer it over to them. Because then otherwise we're going to be like, wait, who is who again?
And then I don't know how to say your name, but Fanny is saying that L could actually be L. And every time Brittany was talking, every time you were talking about L, Brittany, I was thinking of Legally Blonde, how they call her L. And I was like, that's really cool. It sounds like a legit name.
But it could be like short for something too. Like, but maybe like her nickname is
Elietta. I'm just kidding. Nope. No. I like that you guys are putting meanings too. Like Nordic for warrior is Louisa. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Oh, Valerie. Now, why does Valerie feel very like Viking-esque to me? I don't know why.
Well, for me, it's sounding like Valkyrie, which is like a warrior, you know, in like Thor's universe kind of lady.
And I love, love, love the ones that are less common, you guys. These are so good. Like, and also I love when you can pronounce them. I know Brittany and I have talked about this in our current works in progress. We love when you can pronounce a name. Thyra, Thea, Theora, Thera. Ooh, Thera. Wait, when I say it out loud, it sounds like I'm lisping Sarah. I literally did it. I'm lisping Thera. No.
But it could be like with the Y, it could be Thera.
Ooh, I love that. Yeah, that's the first one. I love that. And Viviana, very cool. Do you guys have a preference on if your names match your setting and like the tone of your world that you're creating when it's fantasy and it's a little more loose?
Right.
I'm very curious what you guys think, because like I kind of had names that were all over, and my beta readers for the book that I've been writing have been helping me like say like just a couple. It's like this one felt a little more European than the rest of your names, and it's like, oh yeah, good catch.
That is really good. It's good to like think about. I don't know if like we could also do just like a quick search this week, like Viking names.
Yeah, I would love that. I love it. And I love Tola. That's a really cool name. Sarah says that it's actually a Viking name. That's so cool.
Awesome. All right. So we don't want to decide right in the moment, right? We want to do this later. Okay. So we're going to take these names and we're going to not commiserate. That's
I can't think of that wrong, but yeah.
And pick the names for next week, so we can actually be calling these ladies something specific. Speaking of next week, we are going to be reviewing or going through the catalyst and the debate. So like lots of conflict, lots of like going into the adventure. We need to figure out the premise of this book and what is like the adventure that they're going on. So if you guys have any ideas before next time, you can totally send them my way.
And it'll be over on Brittany's channel, you guys. Just a reminder, over on Brittany's channel. And we probably should go back really quick before we end for if we want to start earlier, because we never, I mean, we're talking about it, but we wanted to gather your opinions first.
Yes. So I think a few people in the beginning, so we were talking about in the beginning how these feel really short, even though we have like a whole hour. And so Bethany and I were like, well, what if we started like a half an hour early? We could get some of the housekeeping stuff out of the way quicker and then have like at least an hour and 15 minutes, you know, to really get through everything. So if you guys would be okay with that, we'd be starting at 5:30 Central Standard Time or 6:30.
6:30.
Right. And we would do that until the end of our sessions. And if you have to show up still at the same time that it was today, like you probably just missed just a little bit in the beginning and be able to jump right in. So if you guys are cool with that, I think, everybody's like, I think earlier.
Melissa, I noticed you said you'd missed the beginning, but that'd be okay because that's more the, how did you put it, Brittany, where we're like saying what we decided on from last week. So if you saw last week, you'll know kind of the general idea and you'll be able to pick it up and it won't be anything with like input. So that way you can watch it later.
Yeah. And we could always, like, for anybody who shows up late, we could do like little like reminders of what we're talking about. Or we could have like a page too somewhere, maybe on the website, where it's just like, this is what we talked about last week. And like, if you show up late, you can just like read it fast.
Perfect. I love that. So sign up for the newsletter if you haven't already. And the webpage.
Yes. And then next week, next week will be on my channel. And so I think I'm probably listed down below in the description, but make sure you're subscribed so that you get the alert when we have that so you don't miss it.
Yes. I'm going to double check right now. Yep. Brittany's channel is right in the description. It's so exciting. Next week is going to get real, you guys, because the catalyst in the debate really set the tone.
Yes. Yeah. Let us know, you guys. Like, are you still excited about this story? Is it still inspiring you? Is it helping you with your own story? And like, are you liking the direction that we're going? Because Bethany and I, like, I think we talked about probably between us like 20 different like ways that this story could go this week. We kept going back, if not more. So we hope that you like where it's headed.
And also this way, if we start earlier, because a lot of you have said yes to starting earlier, then we could potentially have time to maybe help you guys as well. Like take the last 10 minutes or something to be like, what are your shards of glass, for example, and how did you figure that out? Because we can learn from you just as much, you know what I mean? And we can get a lot from like just hearing what other people are doing and learning from that.
Exactly. So I think let's just, if you're okay, Bethany, let's just make the decision to start a half an hour early next week. And then if we feel like that just like didn't work for some reason, we can always go back. But so again, any of you that have this hour blocked off and that's all you could do, we're still going to be here for this hour next week. And we're going to be, that's the bulk of the brainstorming is going to happen in that hour. But if you can show up a half an hour early, we're going to give you a little bit of a recap, do some housekeeping things, and try to get a little bit more brainstorming in than we have in these.
Perfect. And so just to sum up, we had so much fun brainstorming with you guys tonight. Thank you for all your ideas. We will be going through all of them. And Brittany and I are going to come back next week on her channel with an opening image, which we haven't even touched yet. So maybe we'll talk a little bit about that. And then we're going to have a theme, which we did talk about at the beginning. As we figured out our characters, we figured out basically what their theme is. And we just need to decide who will say it. And then we're going to set up their world, which we did really well, but we're going to like probably come up with a little bit more specifics. Like what are the families called that are warring and what was their big war starting over, so to speak. And then we'll jump into the catalyst and debate. So much exciting stuff. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Did we cover everything, Brittany?
I think we did. And just if any of you didn't hear this last week or you didn't see our little announcement too, we're going to have Jessica Brody on May 1st, the author of this book, come and chat with us and do a Q&A on May 1st for one of our live streams. So definitely make sure you can make that one and bring all your questions as you're doing your own plot. Like, hey, I'm struggling with this, you can actually bring it to the author and get her feedback. So we're really excited about that too. So definitely mark that on your calendars as well.
Yes. Perfect. Oh, we're so excited for that. And also thank you guys. I forgot to say this earlier, but thank you guys for like spreading this experiment. I know we've said thank you before, but I saw a couple people, even like Mandy and Katie, have done videos on it too to like show us your story, which is so cool. So if you want to be sharing like your story as we go through this, I know that I would love to see that, and I'm sure Brittany would too. So,
oh my gosh, that was so cool to see. Yeah, thank you, Mandy, for doing that, because like it's so fun to like see the parallel and how the stories are so different too. So
yes, and it was so fun to see like how to stop your video to like stop this video to go and like get all your thoughts out right away. That's how it feels when you're brainstorming.
exactly.
That's so cool. Okay, anyway, I could ramble forever, but we have to let you go. Thank you guys so much for hanging out, and we hope you have a wonderful week. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Bye.
Bye.